This video contains a sigil that broadcasts it directly into hell. Whenever you play this, it creates a disturbance and provides entertainment for people in hell who aren't having very much fun. The more you play these videos, the more disruption you create. The sigil was created by occultist S. Rob.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear.
We're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose, because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
My God, it would be beautiful.
This is the World Magic Movement. Tonight's episode, The Buddha's Tooth Caper.
Hello, this is Saul Ravencraft, and I am here with S.
Hello,
Rob.
Saul.
Hello, Rob. Here we are again.
Yes, that's right. Back in the same place.
It's deja vu all over again. I should explain to our audience. You and I did a recording last week, basically about this same time, where we performed an unusual ritual, and as tends to happen when we do these kinds of things, it affected our technology, and we got a really messed up recording, which for the ritual purposes is going to work fine, but most of the conversation, most of the things that we addressed around doing the ritual was lost to the technology.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, but as you said, it does happen when we do rituals, and we do a lot of them, so things go wrong a lot. But it does happen, you know. We just got to work with it. And it is a really good ritual, which is still there. People will still be able to hear that. And it's for a very good thing as well, because I feel it's something that really pushes occultism forward. Because as you know, I did do basically the first astral armed robbery, which I did with two guys, Freddie Valentine and Dan Baines, a long time ago, for the Spear of Destiny. And it was basically to take the energy from the spear and to put it into a Roman pilum spearhead, which I've actually still got. And it manifested a miracle, and everything worked fine. And so this one is using me and you. We're both doing this together. We both did it together. And it was to steal the Buddha's tooth. And basically, for those who don't know, when the Gautama Buddha died, someone took his left canine, and then the rest of him was burned, which is a tradition in India. And it's got a lot of power, this, but there isn't just one Buddha's tooth. There's, 7 reported, now 8 reported locations of the Buddha's tooth. And so the ritual was to try and steal the energy from that into one Buddha's tooth. I've got this here, the locations of the teeth are the Temple of the Tooth, Sri Lanka. Just trying to understand a bit. Wait a minute, I'll just trying to put a cursor on it. Okay. Lingguan Temple, Badashu Park in Beijing, China. The other one is Engaku Temple in Kamakura, Japan. Also, Buddha's Tooth Relic, Chinatown, Singapore. Blue Mountain Temple, Rosemead, California, USA. Nagarajanakonda Museum on the island of the river of Nagajagarunasagar. And the 7th is Buxian Temple, Buddha's Temple and Monastery in Wenshan County, Jing City, Shandong Province, China. And those were the 7 locations that we used in the ritual that we visited, and basically stole the energy from and placed it into the tooth that I now have.
So clearly, not all 7 of these could be the original actual tooth from the Buddha. But as we discussed, anything that has been treated with intention for hundreds of years is going to have some sort of energy connected with that, because intention is so much a part of what makes something an artifact.
Yeah, I feel as well, though, that I didn't want to try and choose which one it was when I realised I didn't have to. But you're right, anything someone has used and has given reverence will have picked up a lot of energy. And I thought basically the best way is to try and, visit all the locations and take the energy from all of them. And we darted around a lot. We did the Temple of the Tooth in Sri Lanka. That was the first one. And then we went to China. So we had to do the ritual and astral project ourselves to China. And then we went to Japan and then Singapore. Then we went to the 5th one, which was in California. So we really jumped then to the US. And then this other one, the river of Nagasaka-Junasonda. And then we did, the last one was in China again. So we went darted up quite a lot when we did the ritual. And in the ritual, Papa Legba was used, because that was the main entity that was used when I did the stealing of the Spear of Destiny. And he's really, really tough. He's a good gateway entity in open and closed gateways. He's also from quite a diverse background, being linked with voodoo. He's very diverse. There's all sorts of things linked to him. And all sorts of traditions there, which works. And we also used S. Robin Victus to attach the different Buddha's teeth to the tooth that I had, which was like a small wolf's tooth. And S. Robin Victus, for those that don't know, was an entity I created. It's basically my immortal version of me, okay? It's like there's 2 of me. There's me, S. Rob, and there's S. Robin Victus, which isn't solid. He's been seen quite a few places in the world, though. Quite a few sightings now. And he's sort of the immortal version of me. So, if I die, even if there was nothing left at all, in any way, shape or form, there's still me going around in the form of S. Robin Victus.
Well, I guess we should explain that we performed the ritual. We performed it successfully, I think very successfully. There were a few moments that were tense, but it all happened much more quickly than I anticipated, and we did collect all 7 of the teeth. Now, when we went back to the recording, it seemed that there was a disconnect. All of the Skype information, we record through Skype because it's an easy way for us to connect across the big giant pond there, and we were able to hear each other just fine. We were able to do everything just fine, but the recording completely disconnected, possibly because we weren't fully in the world where the technology could do its thing, and so we ended up with nothing usable there. Now, you had a recording that you did on your end, so we got a recording of your voice. And when we performed the ritual, in ritual style, I was repeating the words of the ritual to give them additional power, a very common practice when performing public rituals with more than one person. And my voice is essentially lost on that recording because the connection between us became, it disappeared. So as we do this ritual, you are hearing the live ritual as it was performed. We don't recreate stuff on this show. This isn't theater. Otherwise, we would have, done multiple takes until everything was just perfect. But that's not what we're doing here. We are taking you where we actually do stuff. So you're going to hear the actual recording of the ritual from S. Rob's perspective. I don't think you'll hear anything from me at all, so it will sound like a one-sided conversation here. But then we'll come back after we listen to this, and we'll talk about what was accomplished and what we have experienced since the ritual was performed. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, that sounds fine, yeah.
All right. Well, let us sit back and experience this ritual live as it happened.
Whenever we perform ritual on the World Magic Movement, there tends to be interference with the technology. In this case, the powerful rituals of obtaining the Buddha's tooth destroyed Saul's part of the live recording. We have recovered what we could and edited a version that will let you experience the original ritual. Saul's omitted voice is replaced with a tone, and you hear S. Rob's responses.
When we do this, we'll be using certain entities. We'll be using Papa Legba, and he is the voodoo man, but he's also thought to be Saint Peter. The reason I'm using him to open and close gateways is because I've used him for a similar thing before. I used him for the Spear of Destiny theft, but also because he's very versatile and he's quite tough, okay? So I don't feel he's going to just quit on us. You know, he won't quit, he'll hold it out. And the other one we're using is S. Ravencraft to attach the different Buddha's teeth onto my tooth, which is here. And he is the immortal version of myself. I created him a long time ago, a while ago now. And he's basically, he doesn't have a solid body, although people have seen him in various places in the world. He doesn't normally manifest as a physical body. You can't really harm him at all. He doesn't have any sense of disgust or things like this like we do. So you can't make him feel bad by putting him in some terrible place. His sense of time is different, so that's useful as well. And he doesn't need a gateway entity to summon them. He can summon them. He could be summoned very easily just by asking him. And so he'll be used as well. And that's really the best way. What we will need to do is to visualise our astral bodies. And we'll get Papa Legba to open the gateways. We'll walk through. Okay, now you have a knife. You'll need, when I get hold of that tooth, you'll need to cut off the astral cord which connects the power of that Buddha's tooth with the actual physical tooth itself. And then we get S. Ravencraft to attach the tooth when we come back through to my tooth here. Okay, and before I reach theft, I'll be using a scrying mirror. And that's basically a black shiny surface that you look into to have visions. It's very similar to a crystal ball, okay? We've used that in the past. I think maybe we should begin. Our first thing I'll do is I'll just put the thread the Titfield Thunderbolt through my belt loop. I better loosen the belt a little bit. When you thread it through, you've got to loosen the belt a little bit, otherwise it gets a bit tight. Okay, that's right. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look into the scrying mirror for the Temple of the Tooth, Sri Lanka. I'm just going to concentrate on the tooth, okay? That's all I'm really looking for. I can see it there. There doesn't seem to be anyone around at all. It just seems to be there. There's a strange sort of thing around it, but it's in the middle. There's no problem there. It's unlike something that looks alterish, is what I would say. You know, a lot of gold around it. That's pretty straightforward taking that one. Okay. So do you want to repeat the words after me now so we can start the ritual? Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have 1 foot in one world and 1 foot in the other, and the gateway is yours to control. Papa Legba, open the gates. Open the gateway that leads to the Temple of the Tooth, Sri Lanka, the location of the Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba opens the gateway. The gates are open. Okay, now you need to close your eyes. We need to try and visualise your astral body, okay? Now try looking back at yourself. Make sure you've got it. Yeah, have you got that? Okay, right, you need to move through the gateway, trying to see where Papa Legba is. Yeah, well, have you seen it? Okay, move straight through the gateway, okay. It seems to be in the middle. It's in this big, like I said, this big thing here. You're one side, I can see, can you see me at the other side? Okay, right, I'm going to reach into it, it's really big tooth. Okay, I need you to cut the cord. Okay, we need to go straight back through the gateway. Okay. S. Ravencraft, he without boundaries, he without boundaries, he without limits. I ask you, be he with me. S. Ravencraft, join the unjoinable. I'm now putting that tooth over the tooth that's here. Okay, it is done. The tooth of Sri Lanka is here. Now, we now need to move on. I think we've done the hardest one. At least I hope it is. Okay, I'll look in the scrying mirror at the next one. I'm looking for the Engaku Temple Japan Buddha's tooth. Okay, seems to be a little bit taller, or maybe it's the furniture's different. A little bit taller. Again, there's a lot of gold leaf or something around. Yeah, it's in a different shaped box. Again, they seem to love these strange boxes, you know. Anyway, there's a different shaped box, sort of like pointy or something. Great, I've got it there. There's no one around at all, so that's going to be very easy. Okay, so we need to do this again. Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have one foot in one world and the other foot in the other. Make this gateway lead to the Engaku Temple in Kamakura, Japan, site of a Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba agrees the gateway leads to the Buddha's tooth in Engaku Temple in Kamakura, Japan. Okay, we need to visualise astral bodies again. Okay, walk towards the gateway. I can see it straight away. Can you see me at the other side? Yes, I can see you there. I'm going to reach through here. Okay, I'm holding it across. Just cut straight through the cord. Yep, okay. Right, we need to go back through the gateway. Okay, we now need to summon S. Robin Victus. S. Robin Victus, he without boundaries, he without limits. I ask that you be here with me. S. Robin Victus, join the unjoinable. Okay, I'm now placing that Buddha's tooth over the top of this tooth here. Okay, it is done. The tooth of the Engaku Temple in Kamakura, Japan is here. I'm now going to look at the Lingguang Temple in Balachu Park, Buddha's tooth. I'm looking at that one. Okay, I think there's two people outside because I'm seeing like a large view. I was trying to zoom in a little bit. We might have to be a bit rapid with this one. We've been quite quick anyway, but we may have to be a bit fast. Okay, I don't think they shouldn't see us, but I think we should just to be careful so we can get away with it. Okay, Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have one foot in one world and one foot in the other. Make this gateway lead to Lingguang Temple, Balachu Park in Beijing, China, the site of a Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba agrees the gateway leads to Buddha's tooth in Lingguang Temple, Balachu Park in Beijing, China. Okay, this time it's trying to go through quite rapidly. Okay, I'm going through the gateway. Okay, okay, I've got it here. Here it is. Can you see the code? Okay, right. Okay, I'm going to go straight back through the gateway. Okay, S. Robin Victus. I was just looking at the tooth, to be honest. I didn't see that. Yeah, I think we just need to attach the tooth. If we do that, then we've got it. Yeah, okay. S. Robin Victus, he without boundaries, he without limits. I ask that you be here with me. S. Robin Victus, join the unjoinable. I have now placed the Buddha's tooth on the other tooth. It is done. The tooth of Luang Temple is here. Okay, well, this next one's Singapore, which is a little bit away from China. So we're still in the same area. I'm going to look in the scrying mirror, okay? See what we can do here. Okay. It's difficult to focus on this one a little bit. Oh, I can get it there now. There's a lot of things around, but doesn't seem to be many people. I can't really see any people there. But I'm just looking for anything, to be honest. What I'm seeing is a lot of weird decor, which is... But the thing is, it's difficult to tell at the scrying mirror because it's just black and white. Mostly, you know, what is going to be a person or a thing and what's just... I mean, a person's easy to see, but what's can an entity look like? It could look like anything, you know what I mean? It could possibly be... I think the best way is just to press on, is the best way of doing it, I think, is just to... Okay, I think the best way is just to press on with this and do this one in Singapore. Okay. Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have one foot in one world and one foot in the other. Make this gateway lead to Buddha's Tooth Relic, Chinatown, Singapore, the site of a Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba agrees the gateway leads to Buddha's Tooth in Buddha Tooth Relic, Chinatown, Singapore. Okay, I'm going to go straight through the gateway. Okay, here it is. Okay, I've got the tooth. I'm going to just grab that there. Okay, I'll wave. I'm over here. I'm the one waving. Yep, ready. Okay, right. going to go straight through, straight back through the gateway. Going to do the S. Rob Invictus part to summon him. S. Rob Invictus, he without boundaries, he without limits. I ask that you be here with me. S. Rob Invictus, join the unjoinable. Okay, I put that on this tooth. It is done. The Buddha's Tooth Relic, Chinatown, Singapore is here. This is the next one's a good one because this is California. So they're not going to be thinking. I don't think they're going to be thinking California. So if there's any problems, we're going to lose them, I feel, here, because they're going to think we're going to be sticking in that area in Asia, and we're not. We're going to jump to California in the USA. I'm seeing the tooth. I'm seeing a really close image of the tooth. I want to try to see if I can see anything else. It seems fairly clear. That's all I can seem to get is a close image of it. Okay, so I think we just need to go in and do it. Okay, Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have 1 foot in one world and 1 foot in the other. Make this gateway lead to Blue Mountain Temple, Rosemead, California, USA, the site of a Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba agrees. The gateway leads to Buddha's tooth in Blue Mountain Temple, Rosemead, California, USA. Okay, I'm going to go right the way through the gateway now. I'm very close. I'm very close. It's like it's right in front of my head, this great big tooth, though. I'm just going to hold this out and hope that you can cut it. Yep, ready. Okay, right. I'm going to go back through the gateway. Okay, I'm back through the gates. Okay. We're going to summon S. Rob Invictus again, okay? S. Rob Invictus. He without boundaries. He without limits. I ask that you be here with me. S. Rob Invictus, join the unjoinable. It is done. The tooth of Blue Mountain Temple, Rosemead, California, USA is here. Yeah. We're now going to go to Nagara Konda Museum on the island of the river of Nagara Junagaskar. You may want to practice saying that. You may want to practice that. We'll get that again. Nagara Junasakonda, Nagara Junagaskar. Okay. I'm just going to have a look in the scry mirror first, what I see. I don't want to get too far out. I want to get quite close in again. Okay. There again. It's amazing how many of these seem to be tusks. You know, that they're really quite large. Okay, I can see it there, like stuff around it, you know, it's a kid that always seems to put this fancy schmancy stuff around it. Okay, but you can see it there, yeah, it all looks pretty clear. I can't see anyone there. We seem to be fine there. Okay, so we'll do this now. Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have 1 foot in one world and 1 foot in the other. Make this gateway lead to Nagarjunakonda Museum on the island of the river Nagarjunagaskar, site of a Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba agrees. The gateway leads to Buddha's tooth in Nagarjunakonda Museum on the island of the river of Nagarjunagaskar. Okay, right. Going to go straight through the gateway now. Through the gateway. Okay, I can see. Yeah, I got to stand here. I'm just going to take this, and I think we'll just go quickly here. That's what we'll do. Okay, can you cut it? Okay. Right, I'm going to go straight back. Okay. You ready? S. Rob Invictus. He without boundaries. He without limits. I ask that you be here with me. S. Rob Invictus. Join the unjoinable. I've just placed the Buddha's tooth over this one. It is done. Nagarjunakonda Museum on the island of the river of Nagarjunda is here, or rather the tooth is here, I should say. The tooth of Nagarjunakonda Museum on the island of the river of Nagarjunakonda is here. Okay. I think that was them catching on to what we're doing. Okay. We may want to maybe give this one a minute. We've got, how many do we have to do now? We've got one. This is the last one, yeah. Maybe give it a little bit of time, or maybe we'll leave it for a tiny bit. I won't even look in the scrying. I'm just going to leave it. Okay, for the moment. It does feel it has some power, but I feel, you know, why take a chance? Yeah, that's very true, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think we should do that now. I think we've left it enough time, they'll think we've stopped. Hopefully. Okay. Papa Legba, you walk with a limp, but only because you have 1 foot in one world and 1 foot in the other. Make this gateway lead to the Bosiyang Temple, Buddhist temple and monastery in Wenshan County, Jing City, Shandong Province, China. Site of a Buddha's tooth. Papa Legba agrees. The gateway leads to Buddha's tooth in Bosiyang Temple, Buddhist temple and monastery in Wenshan County, Jing City, Shandong Province, China. Okay, let's just go straight through the gateway, straight through. Okay, right. Okay, there's okay, I see a big box here, like a big sort of fancy smancy thing. Kid, why do I always make these weird things to put in? Okay, I've got it here. Okay, there seems to be a really big cord here, just like cut through there. Okay, right, let's go straight through the gateway. Let's go straight back. Okay, let's summon S. Robin Victus. S. Robin Victus, here without boundaries, here without limits. I ask thee to be here with me. S. Robin Victus, join the unjoinable. It is done. The tooth, Bosiyang Temple, Buddhist temple and monastery in Wenshan County, Jing City, Shandong Province, China, is here. Okay, we need to shut the gateway. This is the important bit. Papa Legba, close the gateway. Close the gates here and now. Papa Legba, close the gates. The gates are shut. So it is and will be. That's good, because now that's shut, we've essentially got away with it.
So that's what it was like.
Yeah, that's right. The interesting thing was, though, I felt really quite dizzy afterwards. Do you know what's strange? After doing the ritual.
Right. I didn't feel dizzy. I was experiencing a headache, and I did feel very disconnected and weird. So that was odd. But apparently successful.
It was
apparently very
very successful. Put it this way: having it around is giving a new energy to the place. The home I live in. And for a while, I did put them together. I thought, you know what? I'm going to try putting them together, and they were like that for 2 days. And I slept very late those days, and actually, I felt quite drained, strangely. And what I did was I separated them again. And I was fine, but I had a headache, and then it went away. So I think the thing worked together. See, the Spear of Destiny, the Spirit went in the side of Christ, the Buddha's tooth. Somehow, when you put them together, right next to each other, the powers combine into a different form. So I think what happens is the spearness of the Spear of Destiny, with it being a spear, then becomes empowered by the Buddha's tooth. So I had assumed the best way was to put them together. I actually think the best way is probably, if you have enough of these, is to make some sort of geometric shape. And then to stand in the middle, I think, is the best way with these. But it's interesting. It could have been the heat. I've got to be honest. I can't really prove at this point that the headache wasn't just the heat, because it's been very, very hot here, and we're not really used to the heat, to be honest. But it was interesting. It's certainly got a different energy. And when you put it together, the energy is different from when they're apart. And you can feel it. It's sort of like a taste, almost a taste. That there is a difference there, which is interesting, the way it seems to be altering the environment around it like that. How it feels for the people here. It's very interesting.
Right. So you had an opportunity to be with these teeth for a good week now. What have you experienced?
I would say mostly a sense of greater empowerment, but it actually takes quite a while to get used to being around it, okay? Because I'm around it all the time. And I would say it's been sort of like when I first got the Spear of Destiny. It took a while to get used to it being around, okay? It's like a different ending. It's like living with a different person. Do you know what I mean? So it's been odd. I need to sort of get used to the energy of the spear. I'm getting used to it now, but it's took about a week to get used to it. To get used to it being around and, what it feels like. Because it does, especially when they're together, it changes what everything feels like. It doesn't feel like you're separate from it. It feels like you're somehow connected to it. Whenever you're around it. I think that's the same for anyone that's around it. If you're around it a lot, you feel like you're connected to it, like you're part of it, which is, unexpected.
Sure. Sure. Well, I will admit that since we have performed this task, that I have had a lot of very challenging things fall into my lap. I'm not a believer in things like bad luck or anything like that, and nothing here has been just out of the realm of normal challenges, but it seems like a lot of stuff has suddenly hit at once and is causing me to have to scramble and to work very hard to not be stressed about all the unknowns here. So it's been a very challenging week, and it's not done yet. It's only beginning. I have some big things that fall into my lap that I've got to figure out how to deal with, and I don't know if that is related to my participation in this, that somehow I missed a trick on shielding myself correctly from consequences, or if that's just the price that's paid for this sort of thing. But it's, we talked about looking at what we've experienced since the tooth occurred, and I would say that my end has been rough.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. When I first did the ritual, for the Spear of Destiny, I actually put a guy's picture underneath it. Now that person then set up a church. He set up called the New Catholic Line of Judah Church, and he actually was a priest, and then he became a bishop because he wanted to set up his own church, and he actually got ordained as a bishop, which allowed him to, and he set up his own church, which is still here. And it does seem sometimes that it seems maybe this is a correlation here, that it's putting people onto a different path, onto a different life path, that it's working for some longer term goal rather than just the short term. It seems to have a very long term horizon that we don't have, and that's an interesting thing as well, I do think right. It's good to have these powerful things around us, certainly around me. I feel it's a good thing. I feel it's something that is necessary. It feels like this is something that needs to be done, that for the coming challenges ahead. But there is a strange element to this, even stranger, and that is that many people believe that I am an incarnation of Moses. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about that. I just think of me as me, but some people do believe that, the Ascended Masters theory, that you have certain individuals that keep going round and round, and say, first you get Moses, and you've got Moses, and so some part of him breaks off, if you like, when he dies, but he exists in some non-physical form, and then this little bit goes on again. And then you get the next incarnation, which was Lord Ling, who's Chinese. And he was like around Buddha. He was sort of a friend of Buddha. You could say quite probably he was probably one of the main people that guided Buddha. He probably helped to guide Buddha in the right direction. The first Buddha, Gautama Buddha.
Sure.
And then the idea was that you get me, and I think it's mainly based on how many books that I've written. I've written a hell of a lot, coming up to 400 pretty soon. But the thing is about this sort of makes sense too, because if I was an incarnation of Moses on some level, a little bit of him went into me. I wouldn't have his memories. I may have access to some information without knowing I have it. That's true. But I wouldn't really have his memories or his body or any of those things. But when you think about it, would he want the spear that had blood or have the power of someone that he was probably, I would imagine, close to? Jesus, would he want that in the world? No, he would probably want it himself, wouldn't he? He'd want it out of the way. He wouldn't want it, in Vienna, or he wouldn't want that. And if you think about it, it's the same for the Buddha's tooth. Lord Ling, who was a friend of Buddha, wouldn't want his teeth spread, or versions of his tooth all over the place. He wouldn't want them all over the world, would he really? It would be, he'd probably class it as being, as being wrong, not polite, not the right thing to do with someone's teeth when they're dead. And so that maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why I wanted the Buddha's tooth. Is it by taking the Buddha's tooth that helps that Lord Ling part of me feel happy or contented, that the idea that the teeth aren't spread everywhere, that at least the power is at one place, and the power is in a place with someone that was his friend, which is him, which eventually is supposed to have became me. So that could be the driver behind all this, Saul, because I didn't really know that people thought this until after I'd stolen the tooth. It's sort of, I think,
right.
You know, well, actually I did. I knew a little bit beforehand, but I planned on doing it long before that. But it is an unusual theory, isn't it? And it does actually tie in, because you've got to admit, trying to steal on the astral realm the Buddha's tooth is not a normal thing. Even in occultism, it's strange. So why would I be driven to do that?
Well, yeah. And I admit that when you talked to me about this caper, I guess that's what we did. I'd talked to you before about the spear of destiny, and we had actually applied the spear to me at some point, and so I was familiar with the that you had done this kind of thing, and that there is an energy, there is something that comes out of all of this, but it was an experience. It was something that I didn't know what to expect, and I'm still deciding what it is that I experienced there. Now, we agreed that we were going to look a little bit at what happened with the teeth. You know, what are we going to do with this? What do we expect to happen now that these have moved into your control? So what is the goal here? What do you expect to do with the Buddha's tooth now that you have it?
What I feel is that there is some great challenge that is to face humanity. It's already started in reality. It's already showing itself. Put it this way, Saul. There is now probably more people who think they are the Antichrist than at any time in history. There are loads of people who believe they are the Antichrist. And it's happening because they feel that that it's coming to an end, and they want to bring it all to an end, you know. And if we interpret the end of days as normally the creation of Adam and Eve is interpreted by theologians and using the internal teachings of Christianity, what you have is you have Adam, and then Adam at this point is, because there's only one, he's basically showing that there is only a spiritual form of humanity. There is no physical body. So when you get Eve, it's not really creation of Eve from a rib. What it actually means is you've got the second version of humanity that we represent, that is physical beings and is sexual. And so the first type of humans are basically killed off by God. Now this means that the end of days, people tend to interpret it as meaning that, oh, we all get to go to heaven. It actually states that those that go will not be able to sin. Now we can all sin, Saul. I can sin, you can sin, which means the end of days would mean the destruction and death of, you know, humans 2.0, which is us, and the creation of humans 3.0, or the bringing back of the original humans. Now, neither of those are us. And a lot of people seem to be a lot of antichrists, you know, or people think they are, in Satanism and things like this. There's a lot, okay? And this is obviously a bad thing. And I always feel on some level, my job is to try and stop this. There is a new thing which will happen and should happen. And again, that's sort of, I think maybe that's sort of the reason why people think that I'm Moses, or on some level had been. But the thing was, I think that if I was Moses, that I was meant to wait this one out. That I was meant to wait this whole thing out, which means this is basically what Moses looks like when he's gone rogue. You know, Moses just doing his own stuff, which maybe is just me. But, you know, I do feel that my job is to try and stop a lot of these things. So I've got two things of power now, two really powerful things. And the more of these I gather, the more helpful it's going to be to try and stop, you know, the destruction of humanity.
Right. Right.
So, you know, it is a bit weird though, isn't it? Moses gone rogue. I think that should be a film. That would be a good film.
Well, I'm still understanding what we've done here, I'm still sort of reeling from the ramifications and the experience, and the fact that we are doing this additional recording here around it just shows the real impact that doing something like this has. And that is the difference between what we do here on World Magic Movement and what you get on other programs is this is not just talking about magic. We're doing magic, and everybody who participates here, everyone who listens here, even though they are replaying a recording, they are enacting the magic that we perform here. And if you get rid of the idea of linear time, which from a magical perspective is questionable anyway, every time someone listens to this ritual, listens to any of the rituals that they perform, that we perform here, that listening, that reenacting, that experience of the listener feeds back into the original ritual and makes it more and more and more powerful as everybody participates again. So as everybody listens to that recording, and if they listen to it again, they are actually feeding what happened and making it possible. If we did not have our listeners, I don't know how difficult it would have been to do what we did and what the ramifications would have been. I feel like everybody who listens and participates in this strengthens it and makes it possible.
Yeah, oh, you are right, yeah. Because that is the difference, isn't it? There's a lot of shows that talk about magic, real magic, but don't really do anything. But, we're the reverse. We really, we really take part. And other people take part. We show people it, do it so people can see it and feel it and sense what it's like, which is something otherwise that just doesn't happen. People don't do that. And it's probably because of the technical problems that people have doing it that it's difficult, so they don't. But, sometimes you have to do those difficult things, But it also shows human power. The fact that two people, when we were doing this, there was just two guys, and yet we were able to do this. And that proves that humans have power, And it seems that people all the time are trying to be convinced that they don't have power. All the really sort of powerful people. Because let's be honest, there's all this Illuminati business, or they're illuminated. Is there anything any of these people that people claim or seem to be the Illuminati have ever done that's ever made you think they're illuminated? So, at all, anyone that ever done, any of these people that's ever made you think they are illuminated? Right. If you don't really, they're not illuminated at all. You're talking people like, in Britain, that some of our politicians, like Tony Blair, he's not really illuminated, and neither any of the other ones. They're not illuminated. So what do we do? Mm-hmm. Do we just sit here and let them dumb everybody down, reduce the power of humanity and just sit here and do nothing? Or do we do something? Because if we can do something, if two people, from different places, not even in the same country, can using Skype perform a ritual to steal the Buddha's tooth and put it in an actual tooth that owned by one person, not by a large organisation, by a church or a monastery, but just a guy, then that means that all of us we can all do things. We don't just have to sit here and let all these people just take over and just decide what we're supposed to do and think, and just try to take our power away from us. We can take it back. We can take power from them, and maintain what we have and also increase it. We can change the world. But if you're going to change the world, you need to figure out a way where you don't need to ask permission. Because if we needed to ask permission to steal the Buddha's tooth, we wouldn't have got it. But because it's an astral armed robbery, it's legal, we don't have to ask permission, so we didn't. We didn't ask permission, we just did it. And it's the same with anything. If you want to do anything meaningful now, you seem to need to find a way where you don't need to ask permission to do it, And I'd like to see more people doing things like that, but that's my personal view.
Well, and that is really the way of the wizard, not to ask permission, not to wait for someone to tell you what you're supposed to do. It is very much a way of making your own connections and finding your own way and being bold. And people assume that if anything is possible, if you go with that means that everyone's just going to run amok. But the fact is that the bigger things that need to be done require a great deal of patience and persistence to accomplish them. And that as you mature in your ability to manifest things, you quit wanting stupid stuff.
Yeah.
The reality of being able to manifest what you wish hits you, and you start doing things that matter. The frivolous things come from the assumption that we're powerless, that we can wish for anything because it doesn't matter what we wish for. We're not going to get it anyway, probably. But when you start to connect with that idea that you really can do this stuff, that you really can make these things happen, the mature practitioner begins to connect with what really needs to be done.
Yeah.
And it all balances out. I think the people that are more frivolous and that aim for the stupid stuff, for the most part, weed themselves out. They take themselves out of the equation before they do too much damage.
Yeah. I actually think that it's better, the main hub of it is that it's better for people to think for themselves than simply to allow other people to do the thinking for them. Because you see it all the time. It seems that we've just created this society now where people aren't supposed to think. You know, and I know many people who were deep thinkers, who thought for themselves, who now just seem to accept things, you know. People just seem to be doing tasks. There's too many rules. I'm all for laws, but there's too many of these pointless rules. You know, too much of things controlled. People aren't allowed to think for themselves. And that's worse, because I don't see that working. I look around the world and I see a lot of things aren't really working very well. And the reason they don't work is because people aren't really thinking. They're just doing what somebody tells them. And they accept that this is the way it has to be, because this guy told me to do it. And at some point, you've got to think for yourself, you know. It just doesn't make any sense, the things that people do. You know, and it's the same in politics, certainly in the UK, where a lot of things, I think most places, seem to trickle down from the United Nations. And they're trying to make things out, I think worldwide, as if all the politicians and presidents and people have all made these decisions themselves. And there seems to be a hell of a lot of them seem to come from the UN. Now, to me, the problem with that is it's people being stopped to think for themselves en masse from the United Nations. And there's got to come a point where people choose whether it's an individual or the society, you know, that they're not going to follow, you know, this organisation or what this man has to say, and they're going to do this because they think that that's the right thing to do. That they reason through and think this is what we should really do, you know.
Right. Right. Well, so you've had some time with the teeth.
Tooth, yeah.
Said a little bit about how you were getting used to each other. What's next?
That's an interesting point. The thing is about the tooth is that I bought, it's actually on a string. It's actually meant to go around the neck. It's quite small. You can't pin it around. But the way it is, you can actually move it and turn it into a pendulum. So what I plan to do next is to try and test it out. We'll have to come up with a test between you and me, where you ask questions and then we'll try and get answers from the tooth. Simple yes or no questions, and see what happens there, you know. I feel that's a good way to use the Buddha's tooth, because that way it should be able to help to impart wisdom, knowledge, things you wouldn't know, you know, to us. Using the energy of Buddha, I think that's a good way to proceed from here.
Sure. So I imagine we'll do that as a separate activity. Are we going to record this so that if anything interesting happens, we can share it with our listeners?
I thought we'd probably do that on the next episode, so we have some time to come up with some questions. It seems a good way to do it. So we can put some thought into it, you know, we can double blind it and all that sort of thing as a test. But yeah, I thought we'd record it and share it with the listeners for the next episode. But it seems a good idea to do that as well, to get some yes or no answers rather, because it basically gives us answers directly from Buddha. You know, that's what you're getting. That energy should help to get it from Buddha. Because I really wonder if these entities in the past really are how people think of them. Because it seems that the popularity grew out of the 60s hippie movement. So you seem to get all this sort of... the idea that all of these entities, you know, were all basically like stoned hippies, you know what I mean? And were they really like that? It makes you wonder what they were really like, because I don't see that being the case for most of them. You know, I can't see John the Baptist as a stoned hippie. Do I see Buddha that way? Possibly. But, you know, I've got a feeling there's more to it than that, you know. It just feels that we're maybe not getting the true picture. And it would be nice to be able to give that to people.
Well, I look forward to it. This is a whole new world here. I've never participated in anything quite like this. I've certainly done rituals and manifested things, but never reached toward any of the great artifacts. So I hope you're leading me down a good path here. I think you are.
Well, this is just the beginning. There is many, many artifacts we can steal at this point. So there's got to be some other one, you know. Muhammad's turban. That's the one. There's a one which is a chain. The saint that escaped from chain. So there's that one. There's other ones out there that we can safely purloin. So it's a wonderful...
Well, let's see what we do with these first, and then we'll see if we're up to doing any more. I do worry that we might get to a point of overload, of collecting too much power in one place. That's not something that seems to concern you, and maybe it's just something that I need to open myself up to. But I do wonder if these things aren't separated for a reason.
Well, what distance is separated? What distance they have to be at? I would like to be able to put them in some sort of geometric shape and stand in the middle and see what happens there, you know. Or put items in the middle. That feels it will be a very good thing too, you know. But yeah, it seems that you've got to think which ones you're putting together, you know. Like I would imagine that if you put... you know, a turban, the turban one, Muhammad's turban, with the tooth and the spear, that the powers would combine in some way. So you'd probably have some mental element of something going into the mind, so you'd probably have to be careful. You'd maybe be better off going with something slightly different instead of the turban. You know, maybe a chain or something to balance it out a little bit, you know. Yeah.
Right.
But, you know, at this present moment in time, we are the only astral armed robbers. We have a whole world full of things we can steal. And it's legal. We can steal anything we want in this fashion. You know, we're not breaking any laws. We can do whatever we want.
Well, time will tell. Time will tell. I'm excited to see what happens next, and I am excited that the followers of the World Magic Movement will have the opportunity to see what we do and to experience and participate. Exciting times.
Yeah, well, my name's S. Rob. This has been Saul Ravencraft, and this has been the World Magic Movement.
This has been the World Magic Movement with S. Rob, Saul Ravencraft. Production designed by Mythmade Productions. Produced by S. Rob. Music, A Dark Blue Arc by Pipe Choir. Find them at freemusicarchive.org. This program is licensed for sharing under the Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike 4.0 International. For more details about usage and sharing, see links in the program description or visit creativecommons.org. This program is licensed 2016 by Werevamp Media Limited. See program description for additional links to guest sites and supporting information.